go over to Heat Wave Harbor to kind of try to qualify. So right, Venom and Aegis, they moved over to Heat Wave, and kind of they did that because Shadow and Virgo, unfortunately, in a heat prior to them, did not qualify to finals through their own heat. So Venom and Aegis were like, well, wait a minute, Shadow and Virgo are kind of on the verge of potentially not qualifying to finals. If we make it to finals and we qualify from Heat Wave, out of Heat Wave, then maybe we'll get uncontested. Shadow and Virgo then qualified, so then maybe Venom and Aegis were back to the drawing board. They're like, well, oh, maybe we just go over to Golden and contest Bugha and Braids. But that one was kind of like short-lived. So now it's been like 3 days in terms of the time lapse here. They've switched drop spots 3 times. And eventually, Venom and Aegis have kind of ended on marking Latte Landing as their expected to be coming into this weekend. Now, with that being said, I feel like there is a big asterisk on this because there's 2 other teams already landing at Latte Landing. We're actually going to be seeing Madden and Chance and 20 and Chimp also landing at this POI. But Kelly, what worries me is like Venom and Aegis, surely there is going to be something up their sleeve because in my opinion, I mean, they're way of a duo to be going to a POI where they expect to be 2 other teams. Like, are they going to kind of be floating around a map, landing different spots? Can't wait to see.
It's interesting because if you watch Faxity's streams and you hear Vino talking to him, there's definitely some kind of master plan going on in the background. And it got leaked that, you know, the whole contention over at Sinister. Oh, well, it was never his plan to land at Sinister. And who knows if that itself is mind games that he's playing. But I have to agree, and I think a lot of people agree as well, that someone like Vino is not going to be allowing himself to be triple contested. And as far as some of the scrims that we got to see at Latte Landing, he didn't have necessarily the best time against 20 and Chimp. I don't necessarily think that they lost most of their games, but they did have some issues against them. So that is, you know, definitely not a situation that I think Veno is going to allow to be put into, especially when you have someone like Aegis, who he dropped clicks for because he felt like this is just like a better duo to kind of do well at globals. So you feel like Veno definitely has a plan here, and I don't think that plan included being triple contested.
Interesting. Everything you said, Kelly, I think I took away one word that kind of halted me in my tracks. That was Faxity. Shout out to the big Fax. We'll see you over in NA West, but good luck. Sorry about that. I got distracted. I don't know where that came from. Obviously, Fortnite fam, that's just a look at our qualified players. Okay, there's still a bunch of duos that need to find their seats on the battle bus heading the global championship. Let's take a look at a lobby list and kind of get a picture of the first 25 duos we're going to be seeing compete here today. I wonder where to begin. Who should we talk about? Sorry, guys. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know where that came from. A loud roar. I guess when the line roars, you talk about Bugha and you talk about Braids. Mr. World Cup, is he back, Kelly? Is it his time? Is he going to qualify?
Blessed us with many things in Fortnite, but the Lion's Roar has to be one of the best things. And honestly, it has been a loud roar on top of Pride Rock recently because Bugha and Braids, coming off of the 4th Reload Elite Series, getting 4th place and qualifying themselves to the EWC was really just the start of their steamroll. They got 1st place out of heats, and it wasn't just any heats. No, it was the ultimate Heat 3 that we got to watch on Sunday. And he, again, just so confident coming out of that. But that confidence does have to come into question because although I thought that there might have been a moment that they were going to be uncontested at gold, it does look like Contrap is going to be contesting them over there.
So we'll have to see if Bugha and Braids can kind of handle the pressure in the early game. That being said, I mean, I'm very excited for this because obviously Bugha has kind of been that player that we have looked towards for so long to kind of be that experienced guy that always be in an FNCS finals. That being said, I mean, last year was still a pretty good year for him. Like, he got 2 7th places and a 6th place last year in trios. Unfortunately, we did not see him in the Global Championship finals. We didn't see him in Major 1 finals, and we did not see him in the Summit 1 finals either. So it's actually been a long time since we have seen Bugha himself in an FNCS Grand Finals, which is why I'm looking forward to this weekend. That being said, kind of teamed up with Braids now, and just kind of overall excited to see if we can see if Bugha and Braids kind of bring it back into form here and maybe pick up a top 10.
I like it. I like it. Top 6 is where we need to be, and then depending on where these other players that have qualified already end up, could be like a top 12 situation. We'll have to see. Another duo, though, Muzz, Rise. So this is a more recently formed duo. Kelly, given this fact, do we feel like they have had adequate preparation or time to kind of sync up together to find one of those 6 spots going to the global championship this major?
Man, if it was a different set of players, I might say no. Literally, they didn't play any Div Cup together. They formed right before Opens for Major 2. But this is Muzz and Rise. Muzz, the 3-star champ, or I'm sorry, the 3FNCS title champ. I still consider it stars in my mind. And then, of course, with Rise, who's just been around for so long, has proven himself as one of the top competitors back when he played with the Amzo and has stuck around. They did just form recently. They are contested on this center map split, which isn't necessarily the best place to be, but I just can't count them out at Rise.
Yeah, we'd love to actually see Rise kind of return to form as well, because it's got like a similar storyline to Boogie. Remember how I kind of mentioned, hey, listen, last year kind of went well in terms of those 3 majors in trios. Like, he didn't finish outside of the top 8, but we didn't see him in Global Championship. We didn't see him in Major 1 finals, and we unfortunately did not see him in the Sun. So for us and Rise here, I feel like it's great to kind of see Rise kind of return to the grand finals here. And listen, because we have already kind of talked about some players like Venom, who have of course kind of moved over to NA. Muzz is kind of like that, the pioneer of it all, man. Moving all the way over from Australia to America to actually compete. Obviously, Zeke, we kind of regard him as one of our own at this point, but I feel like it's always important to remind everybody that the move initially was made from Muzz, and so far it's always worked out because we always see this guy performing in grand finals.
Yeah, we definitely claim Muzz as our own. I would claim he's my best friend. Anyway, let's talk about another duo. Let's take a look at our second page of our lobby list, though. That was look at our first one. More duos to highlight for you here. We got to go to Ritual and Cold. Look at these shining faces. Look at these legendary players, Kelly. This has got to be it, right? This has to be their major to earn one of those 6 spots. It has to be.
I mean, if you're looking at everyone's top 5 list, there is a name that is on everyone's, and it is definitely Ritual Cold up there, which to think that, you know, we got to see just a taste of them at the start of Chapter 7, where they briefly just played for like a week or 2 before disbanding, and to see them reform once again, there was a moment where I didn't know necessarily how they were going to be performing together, but obviously it's Cold, it's Ritual. Cold has proven himself to be able to pull out these incredible solo clutches, but I also want to speak on Ritual because in Heat we saw Cold go down early in this moment, and it was Ritual the one that was able to solo clutch it out. And honestly, Cold is regarded as one of the best fraggers, one of the best players in the world, but I think honestly often Ritual is overlooked because of that. So to see him be able to shine, prove himself with a player like Cold is exactly what I want to see out of this duo. And then to come with
their placements, though, the last time we kind of saw Cold and Ritual perform, right? A second, a first, and then a 15th there at the Global Championship. Of course, that was in trios, but kind of returning to being teammates here was probably something that happened pretty naturally for these 2 guys. So very excited to kind of see how this one pans out this weekend. That said, the player development for Ritual, I feel like a lot of people kind of underestimate, because if we're talking about trios and kind of like the performances from last year, Ritual was somebody who was getting a lot of flack from everybody kind of online and fans of their specific trio. And I just remember Ritual taking the time to go ahead and grind his mechanics out. And like we just saw there, the solo clutches have been happening. The mechanics are now there for Ritual. So paired up with Cold once more, very excited to kind of see if they can bring it home this weekend.
Yeah, it's really interesting you guys bring that up, right? I don't know why the community continues to just like dump on Ritual like he's a goat of the game. Like, I think he's just one of those players that's just so secretly, sneakily good. And like, oh, he's not putting in the skill. Oh, but he's like top of the leaderboard. What's going on here? It's because he's good. Leave him alone, all right?
When you're compared to Peterbot and Cold, they say that the tallest mountains cast the deepest shadows. It is very hard to be able to outshine someone like that, but it's Ritual. He has proven himself, so I don't think necessarily that it's, you know, there's a reason why it's Cold and Peterbot, but obviously he's proven himself.
It's true. I am often in the shadows when I walk behind Jacob PR. Let's talk about some more duos. 3 more I'm going to toss your way before we start to get into the action, because it's close. Let's talk about Clix and Rapid. Clix coming out really strong here in Major number 2. There's almost this sense of confidence. I feel like it's the Clix of old, the Clix I'm used to seeing, paired up now with Rapid. You know, I feel like I have such high hopes for this, especially, Kelly, in that context of like Clix is Clix again. It's the Clix, you know, we've grown to know and love and see compete. He's back.
He's back, and where has he gone? No. Listen, Clix and Rapid. I mean, Clix got 2nd place last year. You know, it's understanding that was a trios competition, and it's been quite a while since then. But Clix has been a top competitor, And even coming off of the FNCS Pro-Am win is definitely a little bit of a snowball. But I will say, at the start of them teaming up together, it was a bit questionable how they were going to be doing. And then slowly we got to see that their fighting got a lot better. Their synergy was definitely starting to evolve as well. And they were kind of able to fight everyone off of Shaken Sanctuary. Being able to claim that POI uncontested is a huge feat in itself. But the big thing for me was for them to come into heats, Clix pulling out some great games himself to prove that he's able to pull out some solo clutches as well. And then honestly, the issues that we've had with Clix in the past have revolved around his early height takes, and he has done such a good job over the last few months to prove that he can evolve and change where he falls a little short.
That you kind of mentioned the fact that Clix and kind of like the end game and how he's kind of been playing it. I remember kind of tuned into one of Clix's streams, and he was doing a little bit of a watch party, and he himself was kind of like, yeah, listen, you guys can't take height early. I mean, listen, we've learned from that. So he himself kind of being self-aware, kind of throwing it out there. You know, we have worked through some of these high ground takes that we have been doing, kind of knows what works. But one word that I want to throw out there when it comes down to Clix is that pretty much everybody in the community kind of throws at Clix now that he's kind of paired up with Rapid. It's just confidence. It feels like everybody kind of keeps saying that Clix appears to be just a more confident player when he has now been teamed up with Rapid. So kind of just switching up the duo there apparently it has changed the dynamic greatly for Clix. He feels just a lot more like himself. I feel like he can play a little bit more loosely. And again, he can just play more confidently. That being said, looks like everything can kind of go their way this weekend. Uncontested, feeling confident, paired up with Clix, paired up with Rapid. I'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, man, I really like Rapid. I feel like Rapid is just a player. It doesn't matter who he plays with. He just constantly like amplifies that other person and really like gives them the space to flourish and to grow and to just better themselves. So I'm really excited to see them compete. Two last duos. We got to talk about Clix's old teammate Higgs, who's now paired up with Curve, right? So we have an FNCS champion. We've got Higgs. Wait a minute. Where's his Batman mask? But now they're paired up together. I mean, Curve, guys, he's on the rise. He has not stopped. We just saw him not that long ago get a crazy solo clutch, like 18 elimination victory royale. And now you've got Higgs, right? Higgs is just this guy with so much experience, so much knowledge. This has got to be a match made in heaven, no?
Definitely. And, you know, like Veno, when he first picked up Curve, I think a lot of people were very curious, but obviously Veno saw something that a lot of people have been seeing Curve as developed as a player, and to see now Higgs also see that as well, teaming up with him since the start of this season and having like hot and cold performances as far as div cuts go, but getting the final victory royale of their heats feels pretty good. And what's feel even better is their spot that they're landing over in Lifty Lodge has a bit of a boost as far as the spawn rate goes for the blue POIs. And then obviously we know that they have been prioritizing that mythic pistol that lands near them. I'm not too certain, Vivid, if that's going to be in their hands every single game, but they definitely have a lot of potential success just by, I don't know, just looking at the bare bones of their situation.
Yeah, I'm happy that you kind of brought up that mythic pistol. I feel like we are going to be keeping our eyes peeled in the early game because as we do know, landing in close proximity to another one of those spawns is going to be Queasy. And these guys kind of took to the socials to make sure it's a little bit further away from their POI, which is where kind of the contest kind of comes into play, right? Queasy and Victory are trying to go ahead and claim over the other one, and Queasy was very adamant and letting Higgs know, hey, this ain't OCE, but I'll let you guys kind of at home to read into that one just a little bit further. But yeah, very interested to kind of see how this one pans out. But I feel like this is a great opportunity for us to go ahead and kind of pan the conversation over to Queasy and Victor V, because obviously this is a big move, a big investment out of Queasy himself, one of those great IGLs of the game. And now he's going to be paired up with the young gun of Victor V.
Now, listen, they have currently on the map, they are uncontested. And there's been a few moments where it looks like they might be contested, but they're potentially not contested. But we did pose a question at the start, and something that we talked about during rehearsal. Wouldn't it be crazy if Asia's and Veno land onto Queen Victor V? Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't necessarily can't confirm or not confirm that that's going to happen. To see Victor V and Queasy right now primed up in this position, and we can already see that the mythic pistol is in their hand. You can't have Victor V with that weapon in his hand. He is absolutely devastating. So I can only imagine the teams that are near him going to try and do whatever they can to make sure that that is not in his hand. Because obviously with Victor V being one of the prime fraggers, joined by Queasy, one of the best IGLs in the world, and our reigning global champ, this is just a recipe for success.
What's crazy though, right? Coming out of the heats, taking a look at the damage ratios. Victor V was, of course, up top 4.0, and to be honest, Curve wasn't too far behind him, but of course, Victor V up top there with a 4.0 damage ratio. But the thing that was kind of crazy about this is sometimes we see these kind of inflated because heats, if you win the first game, if you played from higher ground, you don't necessarily take a lot of damage, so usually we see this number pretty high. But actually, Queasy and Victor V, they played all 5 games in heats, and Victor V still managed to maintain that high of a damage ratio. So again, these guys are going to be looking pretty scary coming into the weekend. I'm excited to see what they could do.
Fortnite fan, that's just a taste, right? That's just, all we talked about is 10 of the duos in this lobby. That's it. Just 10. There's so many more things, so many more storylines all colliding here in Major number 2. We hope you are as excited about this as we are. Remember, 6 games today, 6 games tomorrow. The competition is about to kick off, so let's go say hi to your casters to get us started.
This is going to be a great day, Monster. Thank you to Kelly, Vivid, and Zeke for breaking it all down. What's at stake? The storyline's coming in, but 12 games start here with day 1.
Yeah, definitely. And we already know that there are some teams that are uncontested, lingering around the map. And for the most part, these uncontested duos here don't have as much on the line. Most of them already have their global spot fall through.
Yeah, so this is going to be a big moment here. Those 6 teams, like you said, already got their spot secured, which means in theory, there could be a chance that the qualification spots drop all the way down to top 12. That may not be exact, but it goes to show the level of play here. The battle bus is ready, so are we, so let's jump right in.
All right, Jacob, we're here. Major 2 finals. All of these weeks of competition is leading up to this. The drop map seems to be true. Veno and Agers are going for the triple contested latte landing. Talk about a strategy here today. All in all, I mean, this just means that we are in for quite an exciting weekend.
Yeah, coming into this one, you know, even Veno came into my chat while I was streaming. He said, I'm either landing latte or any new drop spot if it comes to an update. And I was thinking he was crazy. Why would Veno, probably one of the smarter players in the game, with Agers, who is proving to be one of the best players in the game as well, willingly put themselves in a triple contested fight? But you can see how it already is shaking down. Veno and Agers seemingly uncontested on one side of the map, while the other 2 duos go head-to-head on the other.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting Madden at the last in-person event, and you know what? He was just surging with confidence as a new player, finally getting his, his reps in against the best in these major set lobbies. It just seems like he's kind of finding his footing. So Chance and Madden here finding a nice set of early eliminations. I don't think anyone was expecting them to wrap that one up that fast, but it sets them up for success now.
Yeah, but I think they got to know the timing there is definitely going to be crucial. You see Aoxy on the outside. There is some distance, so him and Jojo Fishy couldn't potentially look over and get some third parties. And everybody was wondering, after losing the off-spawn battle against Reed and Cooper, I think it was 10-8, Kelly said, they gave up the drop spot, and they're actually contesting half of Shaken Sanctuary. So everybody coming in thinking, Clicks and Rapid, uncontested. Maybe one team will surprise contest as it looks, Monster. There's 2 teams with Zeke and Taki, Josh Niamzo, all landing on that left side of the building.
Yeah, I was concerned about the rumors of Yamzo and Josh possibly landing on other teams, but they seem to have stick this one through, and hey, it works out well. So Reed and Cooper also win their drop spot complete for themselves, but give this a second. We have QTECD and Nut taking a fight right now. This is Boji pinned up against the wall. All teams here don't have shields, though, so this is a pretty tough spot to be in as Boji just gets a little mini shield off there. This can go either which way still, but nice. QTECD ends up finding his angle, and there, just like that, they get their 2 eliminations. So nice little fast start for him, and I'm looking at the player feed there. 44 teams remaining. 6 teams have already fallen. That drop map that gave us a little sample of what was to come was no joke. So many teams have already fallen.
Yeah, judging off that same drop, now Queasy, Victor V, uncontested, seemingly marked, but that's not necessarily the worry for these guys coming into this game. It was more so Higgs and Kerr. Maybe Josh and Niamzo surprising contesting this side of the map, but now that it seems that the dust has settled, they are looted up, they have relatively good full loadouts. They might try to scrap for extra loot somewhere else, but it does look like game 1. They're going to fly under the radar as of now.
Well, Benno and Agers didn't get the drop exactly the way they probably thought it was going to go. Again, considering Chance and Madden finish up their elimination super fast, that means Benno and Agers have to fight a fully healthy and well-positioned Madden and Chance there on the other side. Meanwhile, Alert play set up for F9 and Moneymaker. Seems like they have Void's Jace in the line of sights here. Jace has to be careful.
Yeah, they kind of land in terms of F9 and Moneymaker south of where they're currently at. They take that kind of island, that shoreline, whatever you want to call it. They lurk their way up. Went from being contested to uncontested, and already they have some tricks up their sleeve. And I only see Jace as of now. Liam isn't too close by. The slurp truck is still there, so if Jace does take some early damage, he could potentially try to heal up, but he's going towards the garage, right into Moneymaker, and this one is definitely going to be a wrap. That first shot is going to hurt onto Jace. Eventually, he's going to drop. So Moneymaker and F9 already with the sneaky plays here, game one.
Moneymaker for 9, both aim down sight with that shotgun. You saw he went from 200 HP down to about 30. That was just the opener. There's not a chance he's going to survive that one, unfortunately. Briggs, Curve on the other side, sticking to their true drop spot here. Now, what they do really well is obviously loop this up, and somehow, some way, they tend to find their way into battles here on the outer edges. But like we said, Higgs and Curve kind of throwing that conversation out there that they might look to key across the river. Well, Victor and Queasy did have some words for them, as you saw. The video Victor posted, he was talking about, hey, come this way, and Queasy's going to box you up, Higgs. Don't you try it.
Yeah, that's big words coming from Victor. Him in some pressure situations always seems to pull up. The fight does continue at Latte Landing with Madden going down. Chance is still up, but he's in a 1v2. Venom on one side trying to take over as many of those pieces. Agers on the other, making sure he cannot get away for free. So even though Chance is lurking, trying to heal up, he's just trying to buy some time. Separate Venom and Agers into 2 separate 1v1s, but it doesn't look like they really want to give him that opportunity. Just spraying with the Spire Rifle. And the Spire Rifle is one of the new vaulted weapons, replacing kind of the Stinger for the most part. And even though it doesn't have that fast rate of fire, you could endlessly spray it past like 40, 50 ammo in the clip. So that's just a lot of pressure you can put out.
Yeah, one thing I can tell by the way that this fight is going, looking and judging by the loadouts here, they haven't taken much damage. So this should be a purely net positive fight for them right now. For Benno and Agers, it's perfect considering that they've kind of spent a lot of time here lurking about and waiting for Chance and Madden to initiate the fight. That patience might just be paying off here. All he just has to do is hit the shot. There it is. They wrap this one up quickly, and there isn't a team in sight, judging by the map. So, well played for them.
Which is kind of surprising with Aoxy and Jojo Fishy landing on that mountain. Could have been a great opportunity. But there goes the first elimination from Venom. That's what really opened up this opportunity. And as you were saying, taking no damage. So even though we did see a couple scratches there at the end, you got to realize the eliminations, the damage, like you said, is going to be a net positive. So for Venom and Agers, they already have the zone pushing toward the north. They have the early game eliminations for points, so confidence has to be at an all-time high for them.
Yeah, as much as I love this Frosted Flats rotate for Peterbot and Boyo, they are finding themselves in between a multitude of teams. Doesn't look like they've managed to entertain any fights just yet either, so this game could be the first that'll set them up for a comeback story if they get collapsed on. Yep, I was going to say there's probably some really good teams set up there. It's Acorn and Bolts nearby. No easy pick by any means. We've seen the most success out of Peterbot and Boyo when they push those more underrated, newly formed duos, right? Folks with a little less experience kind of on the way. But right now, Peterbot seems to be squished between some goats. On the other side, though, we have Ritual and Cold here at the Battlewood. Looking pretty decent. What's your take on this duo here today? They need that global spot.
I mean, they feel like they're one of the teams when you kind of look at everybody, the uncontested drops. They have to be in everybody's favorites to make the global championship, possibly even win here today. I've seen some predictions place them inside of the top 3, and it's just kind of building off of the chemistry. I think it was Vivid, Kelly talking about the placings that they had in trios with Peterbot on their roster, but you never lose that chemistry. It's almost like riding a bike. They have one of the best POIs, and I say one of the best because it's an argument going around the community which is the actual best one, and they got the whole south side essentially all to themselves. So I gotta think they have to have some of the best chances here this weekend as Skittle and Kai get that elimination there, essentially kind of cone him off, poke the bomb, some would say.
Yeah, nice little elimination there. Meanwhile, we get a little update with Clicks here. sitting atop the Surge base right now. Got Rapid playing catch up here down inside of the actual POI. Curly, Tyler rotating around the outskirts here. No sights on them just yet. I'm not sure if Clix has actually noticed them. They're making a rotate. No, Clix actually has no idea it's going to go behind them just yet. He actually misses them. They get pretty far off. They'll probably render out here shortly, but either way, Rapid and Clix. Well, somewhat of a favorable zone here, so they'll be able to rotate pretty quickly, pretty easily here shortly.
Just kind of scratching my head just a little bit. Obviously, I think the Josh Liamzo, Seek Taki taking the left side, kind of where Clix is above now, that's where they were landing, kind of fighting it out. And typically you do see them use that cube to jump on other teams. But as we saw, Moneymaker and Fernay and around them uncontested, they went for an elimination. Towards the left side, they're not going to be able to do it. So a lot of those opportunities to surprise a team and jump on them due to the competition around them may not necessarily be there, or at least here early on in game one. But as we continue to look around, we know Frosted Flats, Peterbot and Poyo are nearby. You see Oliver OG and Xpon in the distance. But as you know, Acorn and Bolts, they are the ones that hold down Frosted Flats. And you got to notice in the minimap, they actually have one of those two legendary POIs.
Yeah, definitely. Nice sight lines on everyone around them. The zone's actually pulling straight this way. And they get a little favoritism with the zone still pulling over this mountain here. This is one of two basically high points that's available kind of in this side of the map. This can cause for some very interesting turmoil come to endgame. Meanwhile, Shadow Virgo. Man, we saw so many conversations start to unravel here. Talk about putting Virgo on the fraud watch, right? Like, what's going on? What happened during Heats? It should have been a shoe-in competition for them. But either way, they dominated their way through the LCL. And they did it in such a spectacular fashion, right? You saw how Virgo managed to clutch up his game, send himself straight through to the finals. And there's a lot of haters out there, right? You have folks like Veno trying to bet against them, but in the end, the M8 team came out ahead.
So far, looking good in this game, just like DK, Causers, taking a quick tag there in the distance by Flex. But you got to imagine with that elimination, they did get a decent amount of surge. They got to start feeling confident here. Got to be quick on the button, though. Storm is doing a decent amount of damage, so gold is definitely going to be relevant for them in this game. As we jump on board, the eastern side of the map, though, we haven't seen too much from these shores. Booga and Braids kind of making it out, contested or not. They seem to be faring well. They're only 100 damage above the threshold, though. That's my main concern. It isn't necessarily the resources, the materials, anything of the sort. Because even though they're 123 above now, this is the first surge that we have in the game. So if they don't continue to accumulate those numbers, we could see a point in time where they fall below that threshold.
Yeah, this entire setup is, I was going to say, almost solely dependent on whether or not a team's going to rotate around the outskirts for a dead side. And I'm not sure I love it. Underneath them, you saw Comtrap and Darzi there. So the fight sort of broke out, didn't really have a meaningful ending. We'll keep tabs on it. On the other side, though, you have Jit here, just at the Latte landing. Again, so much contestation happening up here. Agers looking to stay deep in the storm right now, maximize their materials, and even after finishing their fights the way you saw them do it, look at this. Their loadouts are not that pretty, not on the material count at least, and we're getting closer and closer to the 2-tech.
Yeah, it's not just the material. You see bandages in the inventory. Obviously, you know he needs those. Doesn't want to use that chug unless he actually has to. But you can kind of see, because of a triple contested fight, even if you win the fight, not a lot of resources will remain when the dust settles. But they are going to go ahead and use the zone to their advantage to try to get Surge. Victor V and Queesia. A real peculiar situation. 18 below the damage threshold, uncontested on the day. And so
Chat, the video already uploaded.
Took them to actually farm
the video already uploaded, chat.
Probably haven't had too many chances.
I will watch it later. I'll watch it after this game.
Yeah, this is actually very, very scary, right? Only 4 above here. If it would have went any differently, it would have taxed them incredibly just with the surge being active here. But they're looking to stay inside the storm and play for some super key positioning right now. Now that the storm surge is actively turning on here, it's going to start costing them. But look, there's duos all around them. They just got to start getting active here, finding the shots. I was going to say, Queasy, these are the tags you need to hit here. These are your game-determining, game-defining shots right now.
Yeah, you can get 100 damage with the body shot. We just need to be able to hit those shots. Those are crucial ones like you were talking about. That led to 3 extra Storm Surge ticks, was about 75 damage, possibly even more, because now he's taking that time to heal up. You got to imagine Victor V also being very, very persistent to try to get them above the damage threshold. That's why they're going to find themselves 43. Again, it's not a feeling of comfortability now that they're above that damage threshold, but it's a moment for them to breathe and reassess the situation.
I'm curious as to whether or not they have an extra heals to work with here at the POI. Well, we're rooting for them, so we'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, Peter Bot sees what's happening here just outside the storm. We're talking about them needing a little bit of activity, but look at this. It turned into a nice little third party from range. Finds a fresh Elam there. Those are the big ones that matter. Peter Bot Boyer rotating in from the outside of the storm. Again, no one wants to stay there. 2 tick, and then the 5 is going to start ripping apart players that get greedy here. Yamzo, Josh on the other side fighting for their surge. Fighting for their tournament life right now, barely holding on, 59 above. There's a couple cheeky tags there. Can he get the Elam? He does. Nicely done for Yamzo.
And honestly, coming into this, I'm a little worried, you know, not necessarily knowing where they're going to drop as Josh does go down, but they've been in this situation before at the Summit Land, having to change things up at the last second. But it gets even worse now with Josh going down. Iamzo left by himself. The blessing is they're at least above the damage threshold. On the other side, no blessings coming their way. Victor V down. Queasy still getting struck by Storm Surge. Eventually gets in the box before he gets sent right back to the lobby. And this is where you see game 1 of finals sometimes usually has the most tricks going around.
Yeah, Storm Surge starting to take its toll. Queasy and Victor V are now down and out. Iamzo and Josh not looking too great either as Josh gets taken out, trying to basically barrel roll his way into the safe zone. It was close, but a little too far. For Iamzo here, at least Josh's loot, he does get to secure it, right? So he gets a couple extra heals. He'll be able to go the distance for a little bit here. It's not too far off a placement, especially considering they pulled zone, but we'll see what the damage is looking like. Oh yeah, not too good. This is a rough spot to be in.
Yeah, and you can kind of see him switch into that different shotgun instead of the striker. That's just because he probably wants to shoot off into the distance. It does land damage farther than the striker actually would. So Yamzo trying to use his brain. Instead of preparing for a box-to-box fight that may never come, he's just trying to make sure he gets above the damage threshold. Bugha down in the distance as well, currently positioned up above. And this is where you can see how chaotic this lobby is actually getting because of Storm Surge. If you're not proactive, you're not reacting in real time, you end up in a position just like this. You see Braids on the other side, Bugha down, but he is really making it work. A couple shots get connected, he's going to get him 100 above.
Yeah, Braids looking to clutch this one up by himself. Yamzo here looking to play solo too. Surge is now active. Yamzo taking a bunch of damage. Meanwhile, Braids is trying to stay active so he doesn't slip behind, but Yamzo's got so much more to worry about. Meanwhile, a team falls. He manages to catch a little bit of relief here, but for how long will that last? And look at how close they are actually. Yamzo and Braids hit to hit as 2 of the only solos here on the backside of zone.
I was going to say this zone could be a nightmare here in the next one, but it's not going to be a max pull for either one of our solos, Yamzo or Braids, but it's definitely going to be a ton of distance to overcome, especially for Yamzo. 42 below, active surge. He lands a shot, but it's going to be a trade, so not a net positive overall. A couple of quick tags are going to land onto the back of X-Bomb. That's going to get him 141 above the damage threshold, but you can see he's running out of everything.
Yeah, that was an incredible play now. That buys him so much more time here. As long as he doesn't slip behind, he'll definitely be able to turn this into something here. The longer he waits, the later he gets to rotate here. We'll see if that ends up playing to his benefit. Meanwhile, Reed and Cooper earning their drop, making the most out of it as well. 2 Elams here now. Looking comfortable, but the material count a little worse for wears. Very light here for the most part.
Yeah, and you can kind of see 400 damage above. We saw Reek's loadout for a second, and Cooper's as well. Double Spire rifle. So you see their plan for this game, Monster, would just get above that damage threshold at any cost. They're hoping to maybe pick up a pistol or something else as the game does continue. But you're seeing the update affecting a lot of the game plans. Even Clicks and Rapid here having a little bit of a struggle. Have their POI taken below the damage threshold. Rapid finds that opportunity. 46 above. It's at least a moment for them to breathe as they get another opportunity there. Not necessarily the elimination monster, but all of that loot.
Hey, but also the placement points. They've managed to make it to the most difficult part of Fortnite, and that's the end game where placement points start to get dished out here. Meanwhile, Acorn's down. Bolts is by himself, finding himself in the mix here, 10 below as well. But a couple of players just have to fall here for him to be safe, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. In any case, being a solo here is a tough spot to be in. Let's see what Bolts can do as far as clutches are concerned. We saw what Acorn did over the course of the last weekend as he found his way to a massive highlight. Meanwhile, looking at things from the high ground, you have Aiden just kind of holding things down, and Calixi. Yamzo still standing here. Finds another Elim as well. This one off to Oliver OG. Very nice for them. That's 3 Elims and 4 placement points.
Yeah, from 2 builds to 65 plus. One of the most important refreshes anybody can come at this point in time, trying to keep himself going. He's in the meat of those placement points. Top 10 is where you get half of them. And as of now, Aiden and Calixi go up at the top. They have not been contested. We're going over some recycled buildings down below mountains, so nobody really having a chance at this point in time to look up. But we know it's only the night zone, still early, so we know that can come.
This is so uncharacteristic for Peter.
Oh my God, there's no way Peter Buck gonna win this. No fucking way.
Costing so much material, but this is a dangerous place for all the other duos to have Peter Buck Moyo. The speed, the accuracy, their ability to perform is.
What the fuck? What the fuck was it? Someone connect their phone?
Gosh, they are
Vito.
running away with.
Vito, Angels, and Vito Candlestick game number 1. Let's get it. Bro! Chat, hold on. Who keep doing this? Who keep fucking doing this? Hold on. Hold on, chat, hold on. Bro, who keep doing this? What the fuck? Why is the person watching fucking Asha Speed? What the fuck? Person watching Kokala. What the fuck? Hold on, chat. All right, let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it. Bow, bow. Let's get it. Bow, bow. Bow. FSCSI. We got Higgs and Curve on the high ground. Who's gonna take game number 1?
They
Buzz
managed to get the loop here
and Higgs.
2v2.
Higgs and
Yeah,
Curve
that Mythic Warforged
on the
could be the
2v2.
difference, but really
2v2
no
fight.
chance to use
Buzz
it.
went down.
He's gonna go
Curve
down
and Higgs.
first. His team
Game
tries to get
number
fall to the
1.
zone, and Higgs and
Oh
Curve
my God.
end up each with
Curve
18
and
eliminations
Higgs
and
win
start
game
grand
number
finals
1.
with a win.
Had the pleasure to talk with Curve to see what he was capable of, and he is carrying that momentum right now. Game 1 to Higgs and Curve there, Zeke. What an exciting start.
Yeah, what am I watching in game number 1? Oh my gosh,
Like that.
12 Elim.
Okay, I'm gonna watch my video.
Yoruba.
Okay, this is my new video
This
right here.
video is for you. What you gotta do is, if you try to get better with keyboard mouse, I got you. This video is for you. what you gotta do is type V5. This map is the popular map, and if you try to get better. Okay, after you do the map, so what you need to do, the first thing you need to do is go to let's say peace. So if you go to peace, let's do this. Let's do like example this. So you gotta start playing all. If you like know, you don't know like how to do it, just start practicing your piece, stuff. Practicing your piece for like about let's say about 15 minutes or 10 minutes, something like that. Just practice your piece, After you know all your keybinds, just to do this. Piece, because these help you to like memorize like your keybinds and stuff. So yeah, that's why pieces. And the next thing is aim. Okay, so let's say the best is probably
Search tag.
I'm sorry, if you're a competitive player, search tag is the best, because if you're competitive, you gotta practice your aim harder. No, so gun not in real. Wait, there's no gun. Okay, let me just pick this. So to practice your aim. Okay, why am I not hitting nothing? Dead. 100. Okay, so for aim, you need to practice aim for about, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes. 5 minutes, I think is okay. I don't really practice my aim. So the next important is build is the free build is the most important.
The edit,
the free build.
the edit is
Free
fire,
build will
bro.
help you.
I kind of fucked it up. Yeah, I kind of fucked it up.
Just free build by yourself.
I kind of fucked up
Loading
the
the
edit right
cycler
here.
map or this
I
map.
forgot about this. My bad, chat.
Just
My
do
bad.
this, free build by yourself.
My bad, chat.
If you and
The
you
edit is
can
fire, bro.
load out the speed.
It's like
Let's say
chat, it's like simple. The edit is simple. I edited the video simple. I don't no flashy stuff, no crazy edit, just a normal edit. Explain how to get better.
alright. So yeah, let's say you can free build for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so the next thing is edits. You just learning your crosshair placement and stuff. When I started keyboard mouse, I used to do those, just sit in the lobby, do those, by myself.
I mean, again, not
just try to get better about myself, If I can get better, everyone can, It don't matter if you're a PS4, it don't matter if you're a PS5, Xbox. It don't really matter, guys. You can get better on keyboard and mouse.
Yes.
Okay, so the next thing is comp. This aim training, edit training. What this do is it just do this, Practice you. Okay,
My
this is hard.
fucking PS4 is not.
This is hard. This is actually really hard.
Yeah,
Like what is okay?
I think every console do those.
See, okay, wait, let's go real quick.
Okay.
What the? Let's go real quick.
Chat, that's the guy. That's the guy from yesterday.
Wait, I mean, you're not bad, bro. You're not bad. If you keep going, bro, you will get better soon, though. Let's say after 1 month or 2 months, you will get better, bro. Because you know how to build stairs, wall, and you know how to do strip on it. Yeah.
Chat, the 30 bump video will come soon.
Okay.
The 30 bump video will come soon.
Okay, maybe. Okay, bro.
Maybe on Monday. It might come on Monday,
Maybe
chat.
like a little bit.
It might come tomorrow night.
Okay. So, you can stay right here. Okay, stay right here. What the? Go right here. Go right here. Go. Go right here. Okay, show me. Okay. Not bad, bro. Okay, not bad. Remember, chat, he's a noob. He's new. He's new on keyboard and mouse. I don't know when did he start, but he's new. I can talk about his skill. He's new. That's how I was. That's exactly how I was when I started keyboard and mouse. That's exactly how I was. I was keep hitting stairs, keep doing 90s. Today, you got. Today. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I know this video was not that long, but yeah. Video guys. Alright guys, I hope you liked the video. You know, I hope this video helped you. You know, that's not the long video or anything, just a short video, and explain people how to get better on keyboard and mouse. Alright guys, bye guys, that's today's video. Peace out.
Oh my God. Dude, W edit, bro. Chad, W edit. I know I edited the video, but I feel like I did the video good. I don't know. I like the end part, but yeah, guys. If you want to go check it out, the video, you can go check it out right now. The video is out right now, guys. Right now. The video is out. If you want to check it out, it's on my YouTube.
Who, of course, were kind of holding the high ground up there for just a short spell. That being said, that little bit of a fight that we saw on up there was kind of actually on the back of Peterbot and Pollo finding this elimination right there. If you got a quick glimpse of that, Peterbot was actually down to 9 builds, but that single elimination netted him upwards of 120 builds. After that, they were like, all right, it's time to go ahead and take high ground. Wait a minute. Hold up. Why is Agers up here shooting me in the back? And yeah, so they were kind of caught off guard just a little bit. But of course, Pollo kind of stayed alive and was forced to go ahead and do exactly what we saw him do at Summit. Went ahead, stayed alive as a solo to go ahead and secure a couple of more points. That being said, it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't a 1v4 clutch win, but enough to go ahead and keep them towards the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, Pollo, once again, holding that solo, and to do it in the way that he did, where it wasn't necessarily like he was playing scared, he was kind of in the back end of the zone. No, he was playing it like he was a full duo, even dropping on to get refreshes on recently eliminated players while still controlling height. But obviously, there's only so much you can do in that moment, especially when you had full duos around you like Higgs and Curve, Muzz and Rise on the low ground. But just lots of big teams in that end game there. But you know, we talked about it a little bit at the start of the show. Muzz and Rise, you asked me, Zeke, is this a team, a duo that could come out and break into the top 10? And I honestly couldn't give you a confident answer at the start. I don't want to lie to you. There was a bit of question mark because they are so newly formed and we haven't really been able to see them in these set lobbies. But finally, when there's doubts casted, they like to make sure that there is no doubt for them anymore. Muzz and Rise getting second place in the game number 1 is a great way to start their tournament.
I mean, second place, 6 eliminations, and honestly had a pretty good chance to go ahead and win that game as well, as they were a duo alive kind of on the lower ground there. Unfortunately, couldn't make it happen, but they will definitely be happy with their game 1 performance without a doubt.
You know, there's so many other things in that game. There's so many solo clutch. I got to think about that Yamzo solo clutch in that game. Again, we have 12 games we have to fight through, right? This isn't like a sprint. This is a marathon. So finding these situations where you can pick up these critical points, man, major props now, though.
I mean, it was even before this moment when Josh first went down, where he was trying to break into the edge of zone, and he had 2 different teams kind of pinching him from either side, and he was just using so much mats, so many of his heals just to stay alive. I thought, well, there's no way, he's used up so many resources, but Yamzo grabs this clutch refresh elimination in the moment that he needed it most, just giving him the mats that he needed to survive and make it into the end game even further. And so that's allowing them to be currently 16th place. Right? And honestly, from how rough that kind of transition into the zones were, I think that is an impressive result.
I just saw him on the top 10.
I think when they actually entered that situation himself, I think they were on 8 points. So if he just went down, didn't actually put up a performance like that, he'd be on 8 points and a whole heck of a lot further down the leaderboard. So 28 points, nothing too crazy, but still kind of keeping them in the top 20. And we were looking at that second page right there. I did see another team that I'm sure everybody at home was kind of seeing as well. Acorn and Bolts in 15th place. Not necessarily a good game from those guys. kind of expect them to do better. But that's why we love grand finals. 2 days, 12 games total, so 11 more to go.
Yeah, this is just like the feeler game, right? This is just the first of many to come, and that's fine, right? We probably don't want to have more games like that, but this is Acorn Bolts. I have full faith. They'll come out swinging either this game or the game after, or they'll just win everything. Let's just let Acorn and Bolts win it all. All right, sorry about that. I saw the future there for a moment. Forgive me. With that being said, it's that time, though. We're almost getting ready to kick off game number 2. What have our players learned? What are they going to do differently? How are they going to take the fight to everyone on the battle bus for those global championship spots? Whoa, sorry about that. Got crazy there. Casters, over to you.
Zeke always keeping things interesting. For me, my takeaway here, Jacob, is the noticeable gap. 12 eliminations in a grand final setting. You get more points, you are rewarded more. So Curve and Higgs are very far from some of that other competition right now.
Yeah, we've also seen a few teams that you didn't necessarily expect to be dealing with Storm Surge were actually really affected by that Storm Surge mechanic. Inability to get enough positive damage ratio throughout the course of the game really hurt them in the second half of those zones. But there's 11 games left, plenty of time to make adjustments, so let's just jump into game 2.
Here we have it. Game number 2 is kicking off, and of course, Bugha and Brains. We have this big question mark on their contested drop. It seems like they've gotten themselves a little bit of distance from Contrap and Darcy. In the early game last time when we tuned in, the fight had already broken out, and they were almost forced into a stalemate here. I do wonder if it's just the terrain, right? It's really hard to navigate with all the trees and whatnot. If this drop spot is ever going to be completely clear for them, probably not. But on the other side here, you have the fight with Yanzu and Josh breaking out already, and they're coming out way ahead.
And I already see a little difference here in this fight versus kind of how we peeked into the action in that last game is unless they got big pots off or maybe a chug, it doesn't look like they took a single hit of damage. So already changed the way things up, but this one will not change. Triple contested as Agers actually gets 2 to jump on him. They don't get the uncontested eastern side anymore, but he does scare him off, gets the first floor loop. Veno jumps in to take down Chimp, basically leaving by himself on this side of the map.
So smart too. Look at the thought process coming out of Veno there, not to fully commit into the builds, knowing that the teammate was here, waits for Agers to come through, but 20 gets the exchange there. In the end, Veno was quick, but here it is. Madden and Chance want revenge. They're coming in fast. Veno's gonna have to play this one smart.
Yeah, essentially 2v1. You've got Aoxy and Jojo Fishy in the distance as well that can potentially disrupt this. Agers fully eliminated out of this game. No chance for a revive. 68 points in that last game for Veno and Agers. They made a play for the high ground, and consistency throughout 2 really relies on this, how he's going to survive. He doesn't have any extra shields other than that he just found, thanks to Ritual going down, of course. So this is definitely going to leave him with his hands full.
This is perfect. Look, you have Magma now starting to look up as well, possibly thinking about jumping into this fight here, but Veno's lurk game is just the best that we've ever seen. Look, he holds it down so long enough that Chance and Matter are still debating of whether or not it's worth going inside the builds here. Veno just watching. He could even sneak out if he really wanted to, but might get caught in the process. He already has the card. There it is. Look, now they're going to leave them to second guess themselves, and Veno's probably going to get away scot-free here.
Yeah, those third-party shots from the distance kind of made Madden and Chance just kind of scurry away from that side, which means they can no longer lurk. But the shot from above, the rapid-fire SMG, Veno strikes him down and brings it to him and Chance in a 1v1 scenario. Chance getting that shockwave effect, being able to move a little bit faster could be the difference maker here, as able to weave in and out of the box. But Veno still hitting Haymaker after Haymaker, got him boxed up. Veno,
oh, no.
What are we witnessing, monster?
But now Magma comes up. He sees what's going on here. That back wall was not his. He does manage to take it just in time, and now he's scrambling to try to stay up here. 2 shots coming in from both sides, and Veno falls with 4 eliminations. He did manage to pad the stats, but in the end, Void and Magma's timing was just too good. They waited patiently, but my gosh, what a clutch from Veno there.
Yeah, it almost seems to me everybody was watching the feed. When you see Chimp go down, you're like, at least 2 teams are fighting. When you see Madden go down to Venom and Aegis, you're seeing all 3 teams in that exchange. Magma and Void probably watched the feed along with Reed and Cooper. Perfectly timed it. At least one elimination cleaning that one up, getting some surge. And this is where you see Reed and Cooper kind of doing the same thing. They have the luxury to rotate around because of that crucial win against Josh and Iamzo for the actual POI. So now they can easily go back to Wonky Land and continue on with the rest of their game.
Just an explosive start to game number 2. And I mean, I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you hit the drawing board on that? What can you do better, right? Like, when a team just decides they're going to full 50-50 you, and you manage to win that fight as fast as they did, but the other duos jump on you, and then you have a lurk outside of the POI. I mean, at this point, something's got to break here. Well, either way, we get to start touching base with the teams that are performing very, very well here.
Underdog.
Here, they Clicks and Rapid fighting off against Mirops. Mirops recently signed to Team Force here, unfortunately. He is going to be one of the first to fall. 2 eliminations now for Clicks and Rapid here as things are starting to rack up for them.
I already know what happened. We might see a replay soon, I don't know, but I already know what happened. They used the cube yet again from Sanctuary, and that was one of the things with everybody contested around them, or you can jump on Moneymaker, or you can jump on Visuals and Threads. I think they just saw QK Mirops out of position. The first one got surprise attack, and then from there, 2v1 against Clicks and Rapid. Honestly, it's going to be hard for anybody to overcome odds like that, so they're going to go ahead and start their game off, and you can really see a lot of the adjustments from not just one team, but multiple teams in this lobby. One of the things I kind of noted when we started this game is how some teams were kind of lacking with Storm Surge. It was the inevitable downfall. I think they realized that from game 1 to game 2, that cannot be a thing.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Josh Niamzo, we know, had very little surge going into that second zone 6 or so, right as we got to that movement zone. So things were looking a little worse for wears for them. Another team that we definitely want to touch on, obviously King and Craze here, right? Very strong duo. We didn't really see their journey nor follow it game 1, but they were in 4th place with 4 eliminations. They have just been playing exceptionally well over the last few weeks, and they have slowly and surely earned their way into the conversation as the team that can be a dark horse winner of this weekend's competition. Part of what's going on here is that there are so many teams contested all around them, so a lot of favorable things kind of lining up for King and Craze. But take a look at this fight. Peterbot and Boyo. This is more about what we see from them grains to grains, right? Picking and choosing their fights wisely.
Yeah, they just got to be careful here. They're a little bit further north than I would expect at this point in time, but again, the zone pulling, probably forcing their hands, but they went from Sinister all the way to above Calamari Canyon, even though we probably don't see him yet. One of those 2 teams in the minimap could very well be King and Craze, looking to third-party it, because we know when it comes to King and Craze, they don't necessarily sit in one of those boxes shooting off in the distance to get their surge. They're a fighting team. They kind of remind you of like that early Peterbot and Poyo duos where even if they were below on surge, you kind of see them fighting on the outskirts. The next time you see them, they're 500 above. That's the feeling I get from King and Craze.
Yeah, definitely a dynamic duo. And Boyo, Peterbot right now. This is looking pretty good as they disengage from the fight. They've got what they wanted. They got to touch the vending machine there, get a couple trade and tags off there. See Acorn Bolt still watching nearby. Last time in game 1, they were kind of positioned up not too far from Peterbot and Boyo and Frosted Flats. This time they have found themselves in a bush also in the warpath with Peterbot and Boyo. So the strategies coming together fairly closely game to game, but also dynamic from game to game, which you can definitely appreciate.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes good shots right there from Acorn, but when you're kind of boxed up, you know, teams don't necessarily peek unless they kind of see a window open, a half edit, so they're not necessarily looking in your direction. By utilizing bushes here, you do leave yourself vulnerable. How many times have we seen teams rotate by and just kind of blindly shoot the bushes to make sure nobody's there? But what this is allowing them to do is catch so many teams off guard, even the ones that are in their bases. And even though it might be one shot here, one shot there, those small numbers add up over the course of the game. So Acorn having his head on straight along with Bolts, looking to make up for a couple of the mistakes they made in that last game. As we continue to look around, Boji, Alongo, Kausers, DK, Vlex, and his duo there, still on the outskirts, still early on in the game, Monster, so I don't think it's necessarily going to affect too many players being this slow to the zone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're taking their time, but they're farming teams for surge damage here. But in the distance, that duo we just saw, H-Cube and VLEX, hearing the shots. So now they have effectively all the information of the two teams and where they're positioned inside the storm line there. Meanwhile, Curve and Higgs on the other side. I just find it so interesting that they somehow managed to piece together enough damage considering they play one of the most isolated sections of the map here. They just get to it when it matters. They find their damage fast.
Yeah, I think part of that is not necessarily that they're not finding damage, is they're not taking damage either. You know what I mean? So it ends up kind of at 0 for most of the early game. One tag is going to put them above most of the teams, even taking no damage. You see the rotation coming out from Regan Cooper, something that we saw in the heat stages for them to make it there. Reese Hub just going, showing everybody how it works. You kind of just either pickaxe or just take a shot at one of those flotation devices, flies in the water. And the key for this strategy, though, is that rapid fire SMG. Every other weapon in the game will simply do way too much damage. The flotation device will break, and you'll end up like the skipper just stuck in the middle of nowhere. But they go ahead and do that, allows them to, in a matter of 60 seconds to be a minute and a half max, they rotate all the way from Walkie-Land to the southern portion of the map where they're looking ahead.
This is what makes them such a sleeper duo, right? Look at the preparation involved in setting themselves up here for the grand finals. You didn't see this come out of this particular team during the heat section. We did see this strategy used during the heat section, but we knew there was going to be a team to bring it to grands, and of course, go figure, it's Reed and Cooper now. Meanwhile, Virgo and Shadow, a very slow start to their game. One Heat Wave Harbor bringing a lot of troubles here, teams nearby. Shadow, Virgo watching things off in the distance. It's a full-on fight breaking out right ahead of them. We have Webster here.
Along with Encrypted. Webster, you know, part of that 313 community with Bucky, Okus, who's also in this. I know Brando's kind of joining that as well. And when Webster qualified, the entire house erupted with cheers. Like, that is the type of friendship you want to have, supporting. And that comes from Bucky not making the actual finals. For him to still show that support is just absolutely insane. And so for Webster Encrypted, I feel like Webster's playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. You know, being passed up by so many duos, finally getting somebody in Encrypted that he's confident with. And I think this is a moment to prove, like, hey, I'm not just a content creator, I'm a threat to your guys' lobbies.
Right, he's going to start to separate himself from the narrative. Uga, Braids on the other side, still here. The move not too far off, but they've managed to find themselves as the Frosted Flats, playing a Surge Tower deep in the storm. Very interesting strategy right now. But you can see the population really starting to thin out. Meanwhile, look at this. Jacob, we have one of those indestructible kind of bases being built around the trees that can give them that extra fortification here. This is already looking pretty tough for them, though. 92 below. They're going to be forced to reposition here, find a team to fight.
Say they probably feel like they see nobody up there on the mountain, but little do they know Donnie and Slepsies are going to be above. They're 92 below, so even if they do end up running into them and taking the fight, it's a fight I feel like they need here. Building in a lot of wood, that's a sign of weakness. They're quickly switching on over to Brick, but is it too late? Boyo ends up in the box, gets the first drop on his Slepsy, but he takes a big shot himself, so they're still going to be below that damage threshold. Peterbot finally gets in, good damage being dealt out, and just in time, because Poyo had fallen, and now he has to be the hero. No! The full fall damage, why Peterbot now has to worry in the 5th zone monster how to get his teammate back.
So tough. You saw what he tried to do. He tried to build the floor to catch his teammate, but everything just came crashing down, and Peterbot went with it. Unfortunate amount of damage taken there in the process. I mean, at this point, it does make sense for him to come back up, kind of reuse these builds here the best that he can since the zone comes here, but also probably take the fight here shortly. What a fight, though.
I gotta figure out what. Oh, the roll around from the ramp to the flat grab. That's what it was. If it would have been just floor on floor, he would have been fine. But from ramp to flat ground creates the roll. He tumbles and stumbles off the edge, and now you can kind of see it. Instead of going for any bit of rebate or reboot miracle in the backside of zone, he said, you know what, Poyo, you handled Summit Land. Let me handle game 2.
what was crazy too, like this is a full circle moment. You saw the graphic coming in about how like Peterbot had no clutch points, right? Like earned as a solo. Well, it seems like the universe is saying, let's just even those numbers out a fair bit here. We'll just have to see what Peterbot can do for himself here and now. Meanwhile, Victor V and Queasy, 123 above. Small adjustments to the strategy seem to have worked for them so far, but not by a large margin, but enough to give them some room to work with.
You just got to be careful here because it's not just Angel and Joe there that they have to worry about. Higgs and Curve on the backside of that mountain as well. So even though they think a little under the radar, that side of the map, there's still a lot of contention here. Zonda and Okus was talking about Webster and his success. Okus coming back after a little break and immediately making the actual FNCS Grand Finals. And he was saying, I'm landing everywhere. He marked the whole drop map and said, if you're in first, I'm coming for you. Zonda, though, takes a Storm Surge pick before any of that fight happening, which means he's going to go down. Okus, though, being granted an opportunity here, able to clean up that elimination. Hopefully that can get him above the damage threshold because it cannot stop here. He still has to rotate to zone.
Yeah, even if he gets rewarded with the elimination credit there, he's 8 damage below, so he needs to tag something here. And now you have a couple players loose off to the right side of him. There it is. At least the damage ends up settling and balancing out. Okus now by himself here. Already have earned himself 12 points, 4 of which came from that last elimination. Looking at the bigger picture here, though, Queasy, Victor P seem to have settled in comfortably, but take a look at this. Trouble in Paradise for King and Craze, the team that, again, we've hyped up their situation arguably the most. They probably have one of the most favorite kind of situations falling in place for them on their side of the map, but this time, Surge, for the first time, I feel like all season long, that they're having a problem with. Meanwhile, you have Peterbots. They're on the side. Craze likely to have to take this fight here shortly.
Yeah, you can kind of see him trying to cover as much distance on ground at first. Realizing teams are there, he's going to have to shockwave on out. But now he only has one of them left, and in fact, it's going to be 0 before he inevitably gets eliminated by Havoc. Perfectly timed opportunity there for him. You got to imagine the stress he was under. He is a solo. Muzz and Rise facing some stress themselves. Lobby focused for a short moment, and you know as well as I do, when you build in wood, you're getting focused. People tend to think you are weak. They continue with that green light. Muzz is taking a beating here. Not sure where Rise is at. We saw him outside of the zone healing, but Muzz needs help, and he needs help fast.
Yeah, this is really rough right now. Look at the map. Everyone has found themselves cuddled up on this bottom section, just the way this, this rotate kind of played out here. And that's why the lobby focus is so strong. It's so noticeable here. Everyone can just get involved, consider how close you are. And yeah, the cliff here is not helping. So what a way for this one to play out. But here you have it. Victor V set up on high ground. Queasy on the opposite side. They've taken 2 solo singular towers up top. The zone's going to start playing, I believe, towards Queasy's side here. And this is what we expected of Victor V and Queasy. They said it themselves. Every game they will go for high ground if they are in the lobby. Game 1 was tough, but now they've made it past the difficult part.
Yeah, you see there, Queasy, 35 victory royales in FNCS finals that he's played in. And this could be number 36 here if him and Vic can continue to hold their presence on the high ground. But it is 7th zone. This is way earlier than most teams typically start to take it in the 8th and 9th. So hopefully they have enough materials. The key thing for them here, Monster, is find eliminations, drop down for that loot. Otherwise, if they're contested, they might not have any materials to fight it off.
Listen, I've heard Victor V saying himself that high ground is easy. You just got to get up there, and there's a misconception about taking it early. Well, they're looking to show us just why that is. Meanwhile, though, Clix and Rapid playing the mid-ground layer right now. There are so many teams here, again, considering how congested the way the zone is forcing players and moving back and forth over the same areas. These are not max pulls by any means, so it really is going to force players to basically stay alive for a little longer than they otherwise normally would.
which means Victor V and Queasy might not have all the time in the world to pressure because of those recycled builds, but Higgs and Curve, winners of game number 1. First place so far in our leaderboard, 121 points. Less than 40 players, so Storm Surge, not necessarily a worry for the rest of the game. It's just making it from point A to point B consistency. And you can see him looking off to the side, seeing Angel, spots him out as a solo, immediately putting down the pressure. And you see the Spire rifles. I thought we would miss the Stinger with that being vaulted, but right now those Spire rifles are putting down an immense amount of pressure.
V Queasy already reinforcing the builds up top. We keep an eye on them. Acorn takes a lot of damage on that rotate, forces them to use a full chunk here, and that's 1 down, 1 left to go. Singular shockwave for them here. This is the last of their rotates. No edit comes through though. They're just looking for the stamina boost. There they go. Meanwhile, you see Curve kind of eyeing up that second height. Pressure comes in from Queasy. They force their way down, and then you have Rapid and Clicks lurking on the mid layer.
Yeah, even below them, you have Cold and Ritual. Yamzo, what seems to be by himself, another game forced to clutch up. I think he got around 18th place in game number 1, so already meeting that quota. As Rapid and Clicks, as you said, continuously looking up. Some damage is going to connect. That's going to give them the confidence to shockwave their way on up and battle for it. In their eyes, this could be the reason why they win the game, but Victor V is not able to be in the same box with Queasy. He's just trying to put pressure down to keep Queasy alive.
This is where he has to shine, though. They actually give up the high ground. Both sides have used all their material, but Rapid's the one who's super healthy here with the material count, so he will manage to kind of remain in control here. Meanwhile, Acorn loses bolts once again. Now Acorn has the clutch, just one by himself. We're in the top 14 here, though. Placement points are really starting to get dished out. Meanwhile, I see Queasy finds elimination. Acorn finds 1, 2, and they're going back-to-back, tit for tat, and points are starting to add up now.
That feeling of deja vu of heat stages, Acorn's quad eliminations in the zone to keep himself alive. But as you jump on board, Cold and Ritual, you can see them going underneath the radar, only peeking when they have to. They know they have to rotate to the zone, but they're lurking on any potential players that are in shambles towards the back before they start to move forward. They realize they want to take the left side where it continues to open up, cut off as many players as possible. Acorn doing it all by himself, so he has to make that sacrifice. You see him run into the zone, build some extra space, and then start his heals.
Key placement points potentially to be earned here as Higgs. Curve find another elimination here. This is on 10 minutes. Now we're inside the top 10, and that's a nice little refresher. They find Curve or Cooper there with a big shot. Not too bad, but unfortunately couldn't quite close this one out. Now they're forced to slow down all the way. Cooper forcing to a different layer. Victor and Queasy still going here. Their second elimination added up. They find Dozier.
What is happening?
Issue. Find another build there too. Queasy and Victor are cooking here on the low ground. From 0 elim straight to 3 now. All of a sudden, we're inside the top 10.
And a full chug jug found by Queasy. We know those could be a difference maker if it comes down to the heal off. Curve going to be by himself. 155 points. Still a cushion being built. Not sure how big it's continuing to foster, but Curve just lurking around. 2 builds left. He's trying to save them for the coldest moment here. Cold doing the same thing. 3 builds, healing off to the back. No shockwave to cover that ground instantly. Acorn is finally going to fall. Dash is going to take him out. A lot of the solos here doing the heavy lifting.
This is where it starts to add up, though. Top
You're right, bro. They are weird,
Queasy, Victor V on the low ground. Solos
they're
their
so
butt.
weird.
And it comes through, though. Queasy.
They're not even good, bro.
Little bit of a pressure situation.
Yo, bro, did you saw the video?
Meanwhile, the high ground starting to fizzle out as well with their material counts. Rapid and Click still holding things down since we saw that big clash off the fight for height. But look at this. You have Cold alive. You have Shadow alive as a solo as well. And the only other duo is Noxy there. But look, Cold versus Shadow. Shadow gets the best of him. But Rapid is the one that steals away the elimination credit there.
Points, points, points. That's all they have in their mind as of now because they are on the high ground. You can see down below because of that pressure, nobody can really contest it. I just spoke too soon. Dash and Noxy, backside of the zone. All or nothing for them. Top 3 is not good enough. With great shots landed on the Clicks and Rapid, though. They've overthrown him, but I'm not sure Clicks and Rapid are ready to give it up just yet.
This is a fight for the grand finals. Rapid, though, takes down Noxy. Clicks falls. The follow-up from Dash. And Victor and Queasy are sitting back, firing away here, and they will win the game. And the comeback story now is starting to begin.
He was talking about high ground. High ground's easy when you take it. Just look down. They lost ground. They were forced to give it up, almost looking like they were in shambles, but they turned it around and took the game, Zeke.
Yes! Yes! It's all easy.
when you're queasy. Guys, is this just a story of the Young Bucks? Like, what the heck? This is now the second game. Game 1, get Curb win. Game 2, Victor V win? Kelly?
I mean, listen, as soon as we saw Vicky V with that mythic pistol in his hand, we knew that that was meaning that he got to take it away from Higgs, potentially. We don't actually know what happened in that off-spawn fight, but to see that pistol in his hand, we saw just how devastating he was in heat. So they were able to control that so well on the low ground as well, Vivid. That is where not necessarily we see Queasy frequently, but a great way to handle losing that early high ground take to kind of convert that high ground loss into low ground dominance.
And absolutely, that's got to be the biggest talking point for these guys right now. I mean, take a look at how well they ended up playing the low ground, how advantageous of a position they were in. They were just kind of shooting fish in a barrel with all these solos kind of running around. The refreshes just started to flow in. And I love when a team can kind of establish and play two different play styles, because we know Queasy wants to play the higher gun. But the most impressive thing about this game is that under a lot of pressure from Clix and Rapid, not faltered, they're able to drop all the way down, remain healthy, and kind of rebalance out their situation to pull out a victory royale. It's like way more impressive than we can really give them credit for, to kind of survive somebody trying to take away the higher gun, kind of have the intelligence to be like, we've lost it, whatever, it's theirs, let's go on and just win the game somehow, some way. An incredible win from Queasy to Victor V.
It looks so good. I cannot believe that was just game number 2. Oh! When we go to break, or we're going to break back, we're talking about things on this leaderboard. Things start getting shake up. Don't panic. It's just game 2. Don't panic. I'll panic for you. Okay, we'll see you after this. We'll be right back.
Watch, I'm gonna watch trade though. Alright, let's watch K-Dog.
The 30 Fortnite competitive clips that made history.
Thousands of
Another video by AfroPK here. Let me turn this up.
competitive history. Today I've watched
Let's
through
get
a
it.
ton of these clips and picked 30 of the best clips that helped shape Fortnite history. And
Help
if you
shape
disagree with
Fortnite
any of
history.
These clips being in this video, I've got 11 2K with
Oh,
something.
11, okay.
I'll make a shot. I don't remember.
That's a
Starting
funny
out
clip.
with the classic.
All right, let's see. Which clips do I think are going to be on this video? Fortnite clips that shaped history. Booga shockwaving the high ground. Probably, yes, a bunch of Tfue clips. Probably some...
clip. This allowed
Definitely some
him
Peter
to go
clips.
on to win this game and qualify for the Solo World Cup.
Was this when he fell on the light post? I don't know. This is something else. What is this? I don't know. I think this is when he fell on the light post. Dude, wait, did Cypher say this, or did I just know this off the top of my head? Wait, did he say it?
Clip. This allowed him to go.
Wait, what?
We're starting out with the classic Tfue clip. This allowed.
Hold on. Let me watch Hello BT.
Guys, today Fortnite dropped one of the best reload updates of all time. We have a brand new Simpsons map, a brand new loot pool, a ton of new mythics and exotics, and even a rank reset. And so today, I have a goal to destroy literally everyone in the brand new update. And on top of that, I need to drop a 30 kill win in solos ranked, and I also need to hit some nice montage clips. So it's gonna be a bit of a sweaty video. Don't forget to like and sub up, and make sure using code HALO7, but I'm yapping way too much. Let's get started. So this map actually has 50 player reload lobbies instead of 40, which is sick. Oh my gosh. I miss this so much, bro. Oh man. Okay, let's go to Manor, bro. I loved landing here. Oh man. Why am I getting nostalgia for 2025? Am I unk now, bro? Simpsons season was one of my favorite seasons we've had in the last probably 2 years, low key. Iron Pump Shotgun. Oh my gosh. W meta. Okay, chat, we gotta destroy literally everybody. I'm on my alt account, so my settings might be a little off. So if I'm playing bad, don't make fun of me too much. 200. You bot? Oh, no, we got bots? We got bots in ranked? Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Oh, heck no. What are you doing? Yeah, he's not real. That's definitely a bot, too. Wait, chill. This is a real player. Gotcha. GG, bro. Cheats, man. Wait. 200. Get out! out. Wait, actually, what are you guys doing? GG, bro. I can't even see that far, man. Oh gosh, I need a new pair of glasses. Ah, yeah. There's another kid over here. Oh my. It's a quick match. Oh. I was trying to clip you, bro, but okay. That works too. GG, bro. Wait, they had the AUG back? Wait, is this a good one? Oh, it's the good one! And we got tomato. What the heck? A tomato. I forgot about this item. Okay, that's kind of weird. Did we get 20 bomb first game? Wow. Yeah, I like this AR. Okay. That was satisfying. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I like this. Oh, it's a chug jug! Chug jug! GG, bro. Oh, yeah, I love this AR. It is just beautiful, bro. 53 headshot, you can quad dink him. It's perfect. Are you a real player? Wait, I think this guy's real. Oh, I'm trying to clip you, bro. What? Yo, I think it's the build texture that's tripping me out, but like, that looks like. Too many dudes here, bro. No way you can do that. Now we lurk. Everyone loves lurking, right? Ooh. Ooh, hello. What you guys? Oh, wow. What are you guys doing down here? You just walked right through my wall. That's kind of mean. Don't do that. Chill, bros. Surf Witch. I'm the real Surf Witch, buddy! Oh, we have the crusty blasty, bro. Oh, man, I'm actually, like, I'm geeking out. I love this update. Yo, guys, I finally have my own 1v1 map in Fortnite, and it's insane. We just dropped it. It's called... Wait, you have...
Right now, you can tell, Kelly, they're really giving it everything they have. I mean, even at the beginning of this game, right, we had that crazy clutch out of Veno. Like, these games have not disappointed.
No, watching the end game and seeing it beat all the top competitors that we've seen time and time again, Cold versus Shadow in that moment, and I think it was Shadow that actually came out on top. I actually don't know if he got the refresh from that, though, because I think there was just so much chaos going on that even though you have these big names like Cold as a solo, Shadow as a solo as well, there's only so much you can do, and obviously Cold and Ritual currently at the top of our leaderboard right now, looking to be pretty good, but it's Cold and Ritual. I know that they want to win.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they need to actually pick up in the eliminations category because right now they're playing super consistent. I mean, a 6th place, a 5th place, but they only have 4 eliminations in the first 2 games there. A team that we did not talk about that kind of broke into the top 10 there. We kind of mentioned them after game number 1. They were in 15th place. Acorn and Bolts have now entered that top 10 territory after that game in number 2 there.
You have a beautiful,
they went ahead and picked up 8th place with 4 eliminations of their own. And again, how close 10th and 2nd place are right now, this is still pretty much anybody's game. Of course, we're only 2 games in, so I don't want to start to call things earlier. But yeah, Acorn and Bolts seemingly pick it up here on the back foot of actually Acorn being left alive as a solo kind of clutch a couple of points.
Oof. And once again, I'm so glad that we got to see his solo clutch at the start of this show, that we got to be just fortunate enough to witness 4 heats, and Acorn once again proving that if it's down to him, he is going to be able to do whatever he can to make sure that his team is still able to garner just a few more points. So glad to see them break into the top 10. And although, Zeke, I don't know if we have necessarily a breakdown of them, but Yuz and Sharkman, 2nd place, currently kind of showing some of our top teams up.
I know, it's crazy, right? Like, this has been an insane first 2 games. We've got 30 seconds before we jump back in the game. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts very quickly. Again, we have to remind ourselves that this is a 12-game format. Though I kind of mentioned, like, hey, a lot of these teams are coming out swinging, we have to remember they have to do this over the course of 12 games, right? Like, if this was 6 games, hey, this is the pace we want to be at. But, Kelly, with 12 games to go, we got to make sure we save enough in the tank for tomorrow.
100%. And we've talked about historically how some players and duos do better on day 2, day 1. Maybe they're really good at VOD reviewing and kind of seeing what they can do to make some changes. And Vivid, I think that we're going to be seeing some of these teams as well make some changes for day 2.
Yeah, of course, would not be surprised. That's what we kind of love about the 2-day formats. All of our teams can kind of have the opportunity to adapt. But for now, still in day number 1. Zeke, I'm very, very excited to see how it pans out.
Well, Viv, it's ready. Let's find our season battle bus for game number 3.
Already, Monster, it's looking like Higgs and Curve through 2 games are looking pretty consistent. Curve has the most eliminations and second most damage.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of crazy. Curve just finding his confidence this year after that FNCS championship win with Veno. I'm thinking he took away so many key learnings from that he is really looking to start excelling himself amongst the elite players. And hey, at the end of the day, Jacob, they're showing it.
Yeah, and I think on the other side of that coin, kind of Higgs, the same thing. You know, going into the Summit land, Clix and Higgs, they won a Divisional Cup. They were on a high. They were like, we could actually win this. Summit land happens. They dud out. They break up. Higgs kind of blames himself. It's my fault, my IGLing. And now he took that role here as the IGL, letting Curve frag out. We can see if that continues because game 3 is ready. So let's jump right into it.
Well, one thing's for certain, round after round, Fortnite never ceases to surprise us. You know, last game, the biggest upset, though, was watching Agers and Veno catch that massive clutch and then get third-partied by the teams that are lurking nearby. I am curious to see how this one's going to play out. What type of micro adjustments can we see out of Agers and Veno? Because when you start dropping games like that, you see how the leaderboard can begin to gap away from you. And that's going to be a major problem if you're trying to fall to the land.
Kind of have a little bit of frustration in it as well. Veno Agers winning the actual off-spawn versus all of the teams that were actually there until eventually get third. Cayenne, a little bit of a bad beat, hits the weapon spawn on the outskirts, which leaves his teammate to get 2v1 against Dozier and Ishu, but at least it's so early on in the game. There's a lot of splits, there's a lot of loot. He can get a ton of gold to try to get his teammate back in the game, but now I see it. We go back on over to Latte Landing. It seems like one team might not necessarily be in the POI, but still around the outskirts.
Yeah, this is really interesting. You see what happens when you start getting beat down like that at your drop. You start to second guess your chances to the LAN event, so you try to play or pivot to a different strategy. Well, for Veno Agers, strat doesn't change much for them, but Veno is always looking to set up the lurk. That's the one thing about his playstyle that you can never really prepare for, is where is he hiding? What does he have up his sleeve? He's one of the most, again, sneaky players we've seen as far as the way he has the ability to execute the game plan. Agers hiding nearby in the other building as well. And look, they just have Madden and Chance kind of spooked out here, right? They're just holding down the fort at this point.
Yeah, I feel like it's not only necessarily the players at the POI, it's the result of what happened in that last game. Hey, we could fight it, we could possibly win it, but there's no guarantee Void and Magma ain't gonna come crash this party, or Reet and Cooper for that matter. We saw them rotate on over from Wonky Land early. Let's jump back on over to Moneymaker and F9, contested against Oliver, OG, and X-Pawn. Moneymaker, F9 are essentially hoping that X-Pawn and Oliver OG forget they even exist. So that way when they rotate around toward this vending machine to farm, he can try to hit a cheeky little shot. Oliver OG just feels a little bit too comfortable here.
Oh my gosh, wait a second. Oliver, though, pops this big shield here. Maybe the senses are starting to tingle just a little bit right now. But he comes out, Benign is there with a monster shot, and then jumps into the box to wrap him up. And you know Oliver is like, what just happened? It all ended so fast, and now they look to collapse here. Benign and Moneymaker, man, talk about surprise, surprise. They've done very good throughout the heats, playing this very passive endgame style. And you know what? It's showing up strongly here. Had they not actually fallen short last game, they would be very much towards the top, possibly even second place on the leaderboard.
Yeah, and they're actually playing this one pretty well, rotating up from their actual drop to kind of lurk on this. You could see by their material count, even before Oliver OG went down, they had little to nothing. So they're really kind of playing for this fight here to be a source of all their damage, their surge, and a good pile of their loot as X-Spawn being dropped down to less than 100 actual HP. Tries to make a move in the box, but it's Moneymaker and Fanayan who take him down. And the interesting thing is, Monster, I know it's only 2 games. We're getting into our 3rd, but if the tournament were to end now, Moneymaker and Fanayan would have locked up that 6th and final spot on NA.
Yeah, they're jumping up. These Elam points are definitely rewarding at this point in time, and you saw just how much of the excellent use even of the scanner there in the end. Worth just putting it all on the line to secure those quick Elams. Meanwhile, Curve and Higgs have continued to play consistent, the most overly consistent team clearly, as they are 60 points ahead of the rest of the pack here.
60 points, it's like a 1 bad game cushion. Maybe 2, depending on where the rest of the competition lies if they do have that bad game, but they just need to continue this consistency here, not make any risky plays unless they have to. So we're seeing the other side of the map. Heatwave Harbor, good stop for Shadow and Virgo. They did get the mythic striker pump this time from that death game, something they didn't have in the last one. They both ended up with 2 gold pumps, but the mythic is the one that gets the 1 shot off as Yamzo and Josh. And outside of the sanctuary this time around.
I was gonna say, I like that. Giamzo, yup, this is the duo right here. Look out for. They've been doing pretty well, right? After they patched up their kind of early game surge, you know, it's about pushing it just a little bit further now. A couple little small touches to the playstyle. We'll surely see them fly up this game. This right here is already a bit of a different approach, right, to their general strategy, as they're just straight taking the fight against Anish and Hobby.
I'm not going to say they have a ton of familiarity here in terms of Josh and Yamzo, but they did attempt to land here. Game 1 of evals. They were contested. They got beat off of the drop and ended up going somewhere else, but it goes to show that maybe it's in the back of their minds. Just trying to disrupt the whole game plan and the pathing of a lot of these teams already having diminished. The next one in their line of sight, we see Peterbot and Pollo. I wouldn't say they're contested at Sinister Strip, but a whole other team of Acorn and Bolts are looking to get daring.
Yeah, what is it with Acorn and Bolts just being so close to Peterbot and Boyd? It's almost like they're asking for trouble every single game. But this time around, they get a little close to the sun. Feel the warmth coming. Peterbot and Pollo. Things kind of simmer down. Pollo's got the distance here. He's just putting shots down at the moment. A lot of loot to fight here. Fight for here, I should say. Pollo still not quite letting it up, though, as he backs off towards Peterbot.
I wonder if this is some sort of Acorn strategy. Disrupt Peterbot and Pollo. Don't let them feel comfortable. And I know there's not a lot of time between games, but if they can find a few seconds to go into replay mode, figure out what's going wrong for their competition, and maybe try to make a play to exploit it. But from Peterbot and Pollo to Webster and Encrypted, Acorn and Bolts are just kind of hunkered down around the Sinister Strip mending machine, just seeing what comes their way and how they can utilize it as an advantage.
Well, whatever Acorn and Bolts are doing, it's working pretty well for them. They've gotten the 13th place and an 8th. All that separates them from the rest is a couple more eliminations. They can pick that up just a bit in the end game. They'll be flying up and coasting towards that top 2. Don't forget, like, if you look at the top 11 overall placement points, anyone in this 80-point range, like, you are as good as being in the conversation to win this tournament right now. So we have 11 teams that are playing very, very high-level, consistent play at the moment.
Okay, I give them credit. These gamers, I know they're professionals, tier 1s, but we have Observer, and I don't see the guy out there, and they're over here taking shots, getting their surge. Yemity in the distance, trying to stay back over towards Cluster Coast. You got to mention visuals and threats already rotated on out, so he's just trying to get whatever they got left behind. There is a vault there, so there could be plenty. Could be a good strategy for them. As you see in the feed, King taking down Causers, Rise getting some damage, Yuz and Sharkman though. And even though they're, I want to say like kind of triple contested, double contested.
I didn't even...
King and Craze have mentioned.
Thank you.
Yuz and Sharkman have been beating. I believe it's for their competition, and maybe try to make a play to exploit Rock and Pollo to Webster and Encrypted are just kind of hunkered down around Sinister Strip mending machine. Just see
So many teams are rotating onto other teams' mending machine.
What quarter bolts are doing, it's working pretty well for them.
Ooh, I like this from Clicks. This team's shambles right now. Oh, Gemini is poor.
Just a bit in the end.
Oh, we are very poor.
Flying up and coasting towards that top 2. Don't forget, like, if you look at the top 11 overall placement points, anyone in this 80-point range, like, you are as good as being.
Yo, homie, wait, they're rotating. Oh my god, they hit the boots, water rotate. No, that's disastrous.
Very high level consistency.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Oh, wait.
I give them credit. These gamers.
Dude, that is wild.
Tier 1s, but we have Observer, and I don't see the guy out there. They're over here taking shots, getting their surge. Yemeni in the distance, trying to stay back.
The irony,
you got
Cardis.
Imagine visuals and threats already rotating.
Hey, nice Cam Nick. I'm glad you like it, bro. Chat, remember if you.
Here. On a couple shots here onto visuals and threats, they're almost denying them just a free, clean pass here. Now look at this, the zone is playing towards the south, so this is not exactly a max pool like Booga and Braids have had to kind of deal with the last 2 games. It's a bit closer, however, in a lot of storm damage here.
Booga and Braids.
They found themselves on the low ground, almost in a defensive hole against Nutton TBCD.
They have some sort of a card there for a vault. Not sure exactly where it actually leads to, but that's an extra resource there. They can somehow survive this fight, make their way on out. But CDZ and Nut not ready to give up. There's a mending machine down below. Possible damage if they can land it onto Sharkman and Yuz, but for Sharkman and Yuz, it's almost the whole opposite. This mending machine here is a focal part of their strategy, and since the zone isn't that far away, they probably don't want to rotate too soon.
No, they have plenty of heals as well to take their time. All these old builds are all theirs. This full catacomb north, but there it is. They go rotate out, shockwave their way across. Now, looking at their shockwaves, they only have 3 in the inventory there, so pretty critical resource that they're using early here. Meanwhile, Sleepsy and Donnie, we knew they were coming up. I was thinking they would have almost fallen into the trap of Kingling and Craze, but they seem to have been on high alert as they approach the base here. King, Craze have so much loot to pick from here now. They're just playing the storm for good measure.
Yeah, they're so far up above the damage threshold right now. More so compared to others, you know, you start to shockwave out early, you get tagged up on the way there. So they're just waiting for the last possible moment to combine those shockwaves, cover distance, make their way on out. Peterbot and Pollo kind of been positioned in Sinister Strip all game long, find themselves 18 below the damage threshold. And it's only been 3 games, but this kind of has been the theme so far for Peterbot and Pollo in today's tournament.
Yeah, speaking of which, them needing these critical tags. Remind me of game 1 when we saw Queasy and Victor be below. This was like that critical moment that they needed to find the tag. So for Peterbot, this is going to be his game 3 defining moment. Meanwhile, Adrius Veno, 75 below. Talk about damage being exchanged on all sides here. Adrius ends up taking the bigger punishment from the high ground team. But on the low ground, you have Jace down here already standing up. So it's a big fight unfolding.
Oh, what a daring play there for Veno. You called it scrappy. That was a perfect way to kind of phrase that one. That's really to fight for everything. Kind of flirting with that storm surge threshold above, below. You don't want it to activate. Adrius does find his way to get that elimination, but they don't jump tremendously above the threshold because Adrius took so much damage. So that's just going to be a small victory for Adrius and Veno as of now. Something to propel them into the next step of their game.
Yeah, it's not too bad. They earn a couple points here, but again, a very sloppy fight for them. And then you have Rhea and Cooper probably thinking about their damage as well. So we'll see who ends up kind of involving themselves here in a couple moments. But Threats recognizing danger, he's going to have to put it all on the line. This is actually the best case for, scenario for them. They actually don't take too much there in the exchange. And now Veno and Adrius at least buy themselves a little bit more damage.
Immediately shockwaving off. While that's going down between Veno, Adrius, visuals and threats. Liam and Jace use that as an opportunity to just kind of sneak their way on out. They already had some scratches on them. They're going to put band-aids as soon as they get to the zone and try to get themselves as close to 200 effective shield and HP. But again, these Storm Surge struggles going down all around the lobby. Reed and Cooper, a whole different rotation this game than in the two prior. You can see how it's effective. No Cooper in this game. Reed struggling to get out of the box. And even if he does, he has to return back 116 below. And it looks like Storm Surge has activated as well. Big shot on the Boji. He's trying to climb his way up that ladder, but still 130 below.
All he has to do is get the Siphon here, and he actually has a fighting chance right now. These are his builds with the Storm, and the Surge are going to turn on here. And now you have to either pop the Chug or get the Siphon. You don't have a lot of time to work with. In the end, he misses the shot. Someone follows up behind him, but no, it's not going to be enough to stay alive. And what's crazy about that is as we called it out, Reed and Cooper were just rotating past Veno and Agers. They actually went to the Storm, and Cooper fell to the hands of Bugha, it seems, as he was flying to the safe zone. So super unfortunate, quick turn of events for them. That's going to slow down their momentum. And remember, they were in 4th place here, basically tied with 3rd and 2nd. So now they're surely going to be set back.
And can you believe it all happened because a team is rotating in the water. They're not able to take their flotation device. They have to rotate on land, and that is what puts them below the damage threshold. Just goes to show, hey, that might be an important part of their overall strategy this weekend. But Peterbot, surprise attack coming from above. Poyo takes so much damage. They're above the threshold, but how far can they keep it that way, especially with Poyo taking damage and being forced outside of the zone. 5 tick per second towards the outside, so he is going to down the entire Chug Jug here.
Yeah, definitely. He doesn't really have another option. Meanwhile, Peterbot's already gone through all his shockwaves, gets caught there, and then loses the opportunity to actually shock himself too. This is just a world of trouble unfolding now. He's below the Surge. Great little find there, though, from Peterbot and Boyer to actually make the comps and get back together and shockwave their way through. I mean, if they manage to turn this around, that's going to be the key moment that you just watched unfold there. And that's one thing that professional players at the highest level like them will always do, is keep things interesting.
And you can see he's not being scarce with his materials. He knows he needs an elimination or a ton of damage to kind of stay ahead in this game overall. 123. A couple quick shots from Poyo are going to connect. They continue to climb up that Storm. I'm not sure their problems are over with just yet, but they did ease up on the tension so far. Aoxy and JoJo try to come from behind zone. Curve and Higgs continue their domination here in the 3rd game, finding more eliminations to help their own Storm Surge.
Meanwhile, Veno and Agers, they were at one point barely holding on, now flying ahead of the competition here. Already at 3 eliminations. They're making up for lost time from that game 2 early falling. Still managing to maintain a very high amount of average eliminations here, but look at this. Find Seek there in the process. The full quick elimination, now they're up to bar, and a big refresh for them here. That's a much wanted material count, even a refresh on the shockwaves too. Taki solos to the side, Vert solo in front of them as well.
Taki is going to get found out from the backside. Higgs and Curve, even though they have to rotate themselves, they're using those quick seconds to pressure everybody towards the outside, force them to use materials, resources, anything to simply just stay alive. And while they have priority position, they immediately shockwave towards the front and do it yet again. Zone after zone, Higgs and Curve finding clear-cut opportunities to increase their possession in the game, but also take down others. You see Chimp falling in the distance. Chimp at 20, forced to swerve off of Latte landing in this game.
Yeah, Cole took down Virgo as well in that rotate. That was a really tough one. Shadows by himself. Meanwhile, Agers, Veno lurking up on a build, forced to build here. They were about to set up an ambush into a box there. And this is what Veno does best. Again, setting up those lurk plays to give them a huge and massive advantage. But as we say that, Curve finds Shadow there too. Here comes the moving zones though. Victor V and Queasier at the front side of this one. Curve and Higgs watching it all come crashing down towards them. This is where they're picking up big eliminations. In the first moving, they had no elims. Now they're at 3, potentially counting.
And while they're just kind of smoothly sitting, getting elims, ruining games, Cold actually took down Poyo as Queasy and Victor V continue to climb up that ladder. game after game. You know they're going to go up there, try to make a play for that high ground. You're seeing them kind of put a lot of pressure on towards that second height, so that way that team can no longer feel comfortable. But Higgs and Curve already rotated on out. As Queasy, that second height targeting yet again. Noxie Dash. There's so many players that could potentially try to find their way up towards that high ground, so they got to keep their eyes peeled.
Yeah, and we didn't really get to see this Storm Surge damage journey of Victor V and Queasy, but whatever they changed from game one is slowly and surely working more and more in their favor. Meanwhile, Ritual and Cold already at 4 eliminations here. This sleeper team, nothing too flashy just yet, but Cold normally has a highlight or two before the tournament's over. Meanwhile, Purebot by himself here, clutching up, finding his way through a couple of points here. Not sure how early he lost his teammate, but he's going to be set down in 18th.
Yeah, Storm Surge again being the problem for Peterbot and Pollo through 3 games. We need to see them kind of switch things up. But for Veno and Agers, honestly, it's just making it off of Spawn is the only thing they need to do. This is honestly giving me feelings of Veno's domination in his Major 1 win. If he can keep that up, we might be staring down a back-to-back opportunity. But Higgs has gone down. We said they have room for mistakes, but Curve, if he clutches up, will continue to hold on to the cushion they've built.
I mean, this is kind of crazy. They're already in the 200-point range, Higgs and Curve, and they're still earning points. Mind you, keep in mind, they are barely earning anything, but this is going to continue to give them that huge gap. But Victor V and Queasy have such control over the lobby. Cold, Ritual managed to stay their way into the storm a little too long. You can see they're very hurt. Meanwhile, Benign and Moneymaker, I keep talking about that quiet play style. They're a sleeper team. Here goes, though. Muzz, Rise fight for the high ground here, Jacob. The side shot onto Queasy was a miss, but Rise manages to maintain control here.
Yeah, this is another team that's a huge threat, kind of coming together at the last possible moment, even during the play-ins, having a bad day 1, but since then they have not looked back. They're trying to control the high ground. Victor V and Queasy, they're the ones forced to give it up, but Queasy is going to get dropped. Victor V scrambling around, trying to survive. No shield left, but he repositions with a shockwave. More than enough chug, but there's 0 time to actually use it, and 0 builds to stay alive. Victor V and Curve, for that matter, will both be eliminated.
Such a quick turn of events there, and I still see Josh working his way through the mid-ground. Seems like he might be solo, but Cold and Ritual are the team finding momentum as their train is off on the tracks here to the races, doing very, very well for themselves. 7 eliminations now. Duo next door, they took back into their box, and it's actually Josh who's kind of lurking about here. But here it goes into Acorn's box. They find Acorn, try to finish bolts, but it's not going to be enough. It's all up to Ritual now.
Yeah, he scrambles around, making sure to complete the elimination on the Acorn for the Siphon. Josh going on the chase, getting the Siphon just in time to stay alive. Noxie doing the same thing. Everybody just laying it all on the line. No stone left unturned. And even have Noxie and Josh trying to make a heroic effort, returns back. Muzz spots him out for a second, but does not have ammo. He literally ran out at the last second, unable to get the elimination, but it's a moot point because Noxie still takes down Josh. 2v1 situation here for a win.
This is tough. Muzz doesn't have any ammo to work with. It's all up to Rise to put that high ground pressure down. And they're going to be forced into a shotgun battle. But Ozone and Golden, a team that have already qualified for the LAN event, they have nothing to lose. They're firing up. They're in the end game. Noxie's taking a fight with Muzz here. Muzz needs to secure this elimination, but Golden and Ozone are patient. They're waiting. Rise falls to the storm. Muzz finds one, goes up for the Siphon request, but no. Ozone and Golden slip away here. Ozone fight for the storm. Muzz versus Ozone in a 1v1. Muzz is one of the sharpest when it comes down to it, but he has to hit the shot here and now. Can he get it, Jacob? It's looking close, and of course, he can secure the win. And just like that, he gets it with 8.
It definitely would have been a little easier. He really ran out of medium ammo at the last possible second. As well, but I hear a noise in the distance. Is that Zeke?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. What was that? That was a crazy sound. That wasn't me. There was no way that me, Muzz's #1 fan. That wasn't me. Anyway, Muzz and Rise, big number 3. Kelly, you know, when you're on such critically low ammo, that's a tough spot to be in, and yet in those final moments, this is just all experience. Muzz is like, dude, let's go. I'm about to win this game.
to see that you are in potential shambles as far as your loadout goes, but to still identify that height is vulnerable and that you guys have just enough to be able to steal it away, that is what Muzz and Rise do best. Find that opportunity, the little hitch in the armor of their opponents, and taking full advantage of it. But of course, it wasn't just the height steal. Rise and Muzz controlled that high ground quite well for the last few moments, and then made sure to not get overwhelmed, even having a player launch up onto them when it was potentially down to a 2v2. Again, they handled that well, but it coming down to Muzz in that final moment of a 1v1. And for me, I do appreciate the fact that Muzz prioritized the siphon in the final moment, or it was like the second to last elimination, so he was able to get topped off on that heal in that final fight against Ozone.
Yeah, Muzz and Rise, won a Zeke right there myself. Just did such a good job of taking the high ground at the exact moment that they needed to. Kelly kind of talked about it, whether or not they knew that himself. I think Victor was kind of like dropping down the moment that they kind of went up for the high ground. So it was just so well timed that it was just Weezy up there who was not going to go ahead and opt to actually defend it. So they effectively kind of got it for free. And it was just a clutch from Muzz. I mean, he played this so well. You can see he's just kind of constantly resetting the edits to go and try to bait out that shot, trying to make sure that he takes no damage. And sure enough, he didn't take any damage and cleaned it up well. So shout out to Muzz and Rise, man. Listen, second place in game number 1. Game number 2 didn't go so well for them. They win in game number 3. They're going to soar back up the leaderboard.
I can't wait for you guys to see where they currently are. First, a break. When we return, we'll take a look at these leaderboards. We'll see you in a second.
Okay, I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna end this one here. I'll be back. Like 7:10. I will be back. Okay, there. 7:10. Actually, 7:05. I will come back. At 7:05, I will come back. My Okay, I have to end here, and I will come back at 7:05. Okay.